Morning, everybody. Michelle is here. Michelle is here on this Thursday. Let's see what today is. August something. Who can keep up, right? But I like to, August 6th, 2026. On a Thursday. I thought I'd come on through. Sorry about the sunlight. And say hello to you and just let you know what's going on in my life. And for the most part, yesterday I spent hours working on something and it did not work out at all. It did not work out. So I'm gonna have to do other measures to get the things I want done with this particular project. So I have like numerous projects going on all at once, and sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, and that's frustrating in and of itself, but thankfully I know how to manage my emotions. I know how to manage myself. Yes, I was like, man, I cannot believe I spent hours on this and it turns out it doesn't work. But that's the uncertainty that you will face in your life. That's just part of developing. You're gonna have some certainty and uncertainty, and I think because of the state of our planet, there's gonna be more uncertainty than we ever experienced in our lives. And I would say more uncertainty since the inception of this planet. Because of some 5 billion years old planet Earth, because of our behaviors and actions towards planet Earth, and how we've managed to use up most of the resources, and how we've managed to cause a large portion of our flora and fauna to go extinct. So I put a post up on one of my pages, I'm not sure which one, talking about, if we do not have biodiversity, humans are unable to sustain themselves on a planet that does not have biodiversity. Now, what does that mean to you? I told you with many of my videos, pay attention to your atmosphere, pay attention to your surroundings. What's missing? Well, in this particular place I'm living right now, there are almost no trees to see for miles upon miles upon miles. No trees. All I see is buildings and buildings. And this particular city is similar to I think New Orleans, where it's like a fishbowl is what they call it. They call it a fishbowl, because when I go up to a certain region in this city, I'm elevated somewhat, and I can visually see that it was a fishbowl. And I think I said this in one of my videos. When I first moved here, I think it was in 2023 when I first moved here. I can remember, being up in a higher elevation of this city. And yes, I did see 2 or 3 rings around the bowl. And those rings were of people and buildings and just what's usually there, in a city, houses, buildings, and this and that and the other. And I knew I was in a barren area. This area is extremely barren. Don't worry about if you can't see me, just listen to my voice. But the area was extremely barren, meaning it was a desert. And it is a desert. And it remains a desert right now. But what's changed is that ring has now, instead of, say for example, they were like 2 rings around the city, the rings are now double that right now. I was amazed the other night when I was out during the night, and that's where you see it, and it slaps you in the face of the amount of developing and growing and construction without considering the biodiversity. I noticed in some certain areas, the so-called elite areas, areas that are pushing themselves outside the boundaries of, say the downtown of an area. That has been our behaviors and actions as well, and how we are continuing to destroy this planet is we keep pushing ourselves out from the main downtown, for example, because a lot of people believe that's where, they believe that they can do that. So when they do that, they're cutting down trees. Trust me on that. And then they believe that they can plant these little pruny trees that are not developing properly to be able to sustain this city, which will eventually be this planet, because that's what everybody's doing. They believe, okay, let's clear out all of the trees that have been there for thousands of years, hundreds of years, 10 years, and just plant these little baby trees and believe that they're going to be able to sustain the planet and provide the planet with the necessary biodiversities. Well, there's, because if you pay attention, I told you, pay attention to the palm trees. How the palm trees are going to protect the city when the palm trees are barely alive. Okay, the mountains are disappearing over here. Okay, we cannot live on a barren area, not with 10 billion people. Okay, maybe a few, but where's the shelter? How are you going to find the shelter? And so a lot of people are, so illogical in their behaviors and actions. They keep overconsumption, gluttony. They keep buying all of this equipment, mostly toys. And they're fighting for space to store this stuff. Okay, you'll see people in parking lots who will invade people just to get some shade. And when I say invade people, say I'm parked in such a way where, okay, I want to sit here and enjoy my solitude, my aloneness, and there's a little tree there that's providing me a little bit of shade. Guess what will happen? Someone will come and park right on top of you just so they can get the shade too. You see how we were fighting over stuff that ought to not be an issue. There should be ample trees, ample biodiversities, and in this particular city, which is gonna really, the devastation that this city is opening up to themselves. They do not want, like I said, there's over development of homes and buildings, material structures. They do not want this area to plant any vegetation at all. They want them to replace it with the rocks that they're taking from the mountains. In other words, they're trying to treat this place like Mars or like the moon. And those areas are not sustainable for human beings nor animals. So get up, take a look around in your area. Take a look especially towards the sky. See, in this area, The trees ought to be towards the sky, blocking the sun, giving you some shade from the sun. There is no shade in this city. There is no way to protect yourself if there is because this area also has flash floods. What's going to protect you from flash floods if you live in a fishbowl? Visualize what I'm saying, and sadly, a lot of it is too late. But you need to be prepared, because there's always survivors in most cases. So I'm going to go ahead and send peace and love all over the stars and moon and mountains on this Thursday. We're responsible for this. We did this. And as I've been told, it took us, this planet is 5 billion years old. 5 billion. Yet it took us 75 years to destroy what was developed 5 billion years ago to sustain us. Mother Earth knew what Mother Earth was supposed to do. We disregarded that. We're causing all of these man-made disasters. They're not weather related. They're man-made. Consider that, cultivate that. Talk to you soon.